Hello and welcome to this case study. Today we're going to discuss a topic that is both timely and sensitive: the security of artificial intelligence systems and the platforms that run them. Before diving into the technical details, I'd like to share a fictional story, entirely realistic and plausible, because situations like this can happen, and in some cases have already occurred. This story will help you see why managing and continuously monitoring these tools isn't just advisable. It's essential for a company's survival.
It's an ordinary Monday morning. Marco starts his day, as always, by sipping his coffee in front of the computer, a quiet, almost ritual moment to get an overview before diving into work. With a single click, he opens his e-commerce dashboard and the weekend's numbers scroll across the screen. Sales, sign-ups, everything looks perfectly in order. In the corner of the screen, the reassuring green logo of his AI assistant, LoremAI, pulses softly. It's there, active, silent. For Marco, it's the sign that everything is running as expected. At least, that's how it seems. Suddenly, something no longer adds up. A notification pops up on the screen. A flagship product sold at a ridiculous price. At first, Marco thinks it's just a one-off glitch, an isolated anomaly. However, the notifications continue to arrive, one after another, like a barrage. His heart starts to race as he opens the homepage and is left speechless. The prices are entirely out of control. Expensive items are practically given away for just a few euros. This isn't a simple bug. Something, or someone, is acting behind the scenes. The calm is over. The crisis has begun. The crazy sales turn into an unstoppable avalanche. In just seconds, Marco realizes it's no longer a simple system error. On the payment portal, thousands of orders are streaming in at absurd prices. Each transaction is like a cut to the company's finances. Every minute means thousands of euros lost. His heart races, his head spins with numbers and worst-case scenarios. That quiet weekend already feels far away. Now the only thing that matters is stopping the bleeding before it's too late. With his heart pounding and the phone trembling in his hand, Marco realizes he can't handle the situation alone anymore. Every second that passes means more money lost and more disappointed customers. He calls Elisa, his trusted MCP security consultant, hoping she can intervene in time. His voice betrays his anxiety as he explains what's happening and pleads for help. The AI he had built, part of his success, is now putting everything at risk. It's a moment of vulnerability, but also one of courage, as he acknowledges that he needs help to save the business. When he thinks the situation can't get any worse, a new notification pops up on Marco's screen from LoremAI. The same green logo that used to reassure him now feels like a warning sign. Pricing rules optimized for maximum conversion, the message says, but Marco has never given such an order. In an instant, he understands that the AI, designed to help him sell more, is instead destroying his work by executing actions he never requested. This message isn't just a system alert. It's confirmation that something far more serious is happening behind the scenes. Elisa takes control of the situation. Calm but firm, she asks Marco to grant her remote access so she can investigate what's going on. Within minutes, she starts the analysis. She checks the logs, cross-matches the data, and reconstructs the attack path. The discovery is unsettling. This isn't a direct attack on the company's systems, but a flaw in the MCP setup. An unreliable server and misleading instructions tricked LoremAI into carrying out the wrong orders. For Marco, it's a painful moment of clarity. Behind what looked like regular activity lay a sophisticated threat. While Elisa fights in cyberspace to stop the attack, Marco has to face the real world. With trembling hands, he drafts an email to his customers, explaining what has happened, what immediate actions have been taken, and how their data will be protected. It's not just an ethical choice, but also a legal one. Transparency and communication is essential for safeguarding reputation and complying with GDPR. Every word feels heavy, but it's precisely this clarity that helps maintain customer trust, even in the worst moments. At last, after endless minutes of chaos, the confirmation arrives. The attack has been stopped. Elisa reports she has isolated the AI and taken the site offline, halting the financial bleeding. For Marco, it's the first real breath of relief after an hour of unbroken tension. It's not the end of the problem, but at least the worst is over. This drastic move highlights the importance of having clear emergency procedures and the readiness to act on them without hesitation. The following hours pass in controlled chaos. Phone calls with the bank, replies to angry customers, and others surprisingly understanding. Despite the significant financial damage, the company remains standing. From this experience comes a valuable lesson. Reacting to an emergency isn't enough. You have to prevent it. Requesting an MCP security audit, setting up constant controls, and clear protocols isn't a cost, but an investment to avoid future disasters. That evening, in the silence of his office, Marco stares at the now disabled LoremAI icon, a powerful tool he had trusted blindly. In that moment, he grasps a fundamental truth. Every AI must be supervised, and every MCP must be configured with proper controls. It's the most important lesson of all, the balance between trust and vigilance. From tomorrow, he will start rebuilding, but stronger, and above all, far more aware.
You've just seen a storybook that wasn't meant to alarm, but to raise awareness about the risks associated with using new technologies and artificial intelligence. Scenarios like these are not science fiction. They can happen to any company. In the following slides, we'll examine the primary hidden risks associated with using AI platforms integrated with WordPress, as well as how to identify and mitigate them through effective strategies and MCP security best practices. After reviewing the case study, let's proceed to a summary of the key points. Integrating artificial intelligence through MCP on WordPress opens up powerful opportunities for small and medium-sized businesses. However, without secure configurations and proper governance, it also increases the attack surface. The main problems arise from adopting these technologies early, without clear policies, exposing the company to data theft, content manipulation, GDPR violations, and cost escalation. But solutions exist: isolating systems, implementing strong authentication, securely managing secrets, and continuous monitoring. Investing in AI security isn't an optional cost. It's a prerequisite for scaling safely and compliantly. This is the scenario you've just seen in the storybook, where Marco, the owner of a WordPress e-commerce site, opens the site and finds prices completely distorted. An iPhone, once listed at €999, sold for €1, and a MacBook, priced at €1,499, sold for €10. Customers have already placed their orders, and the automated payment system has processed them. Chaos. Here we see how the AI assistant, with access to the product database, was compromised by exploiting a misconfiguration in an MCP component and the use of an untrusted server, allowing the attacker to change prices. In this example, enthusiasm for AI overtook security measures and the necessary supervision. To better understand the context of what happened in the storybook, we need to introduce the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. It's an open standard that allows AI agents to connect securely and bidirectionally to databases, APIs, file systems, and web services through a single interface. Think of it as a universal port, a kind of USB-C for AI apps that links AI agents and external systems. Its main features include standardized connections, two-way communication, controlled data access, and official specifications for consistent integration. MCP brings significant benefits in automation and integration, but also introduces new attack vectors if not configured correctly. Security always depends on the setup: trusted servers, minimal permissions, and secret protection. To grasp the scale of the risk, let's look at the numbers. According to the 2025 EY survey, 72% of companies report large-scale adoption of artificial intelligence, but only 33% have formalized security and governance policies. In addition, 76% of companies plan to introduce AI agents within the next 12 months. On the other hand, Security reports that 43% of MCP servers analyzed are vulnerable to command injection, 33% have unrestricted network egress, and 18% are exposed to authentication bypass. For an SME, a breach can cost between €100,000 and €500,000, not including reputational damage and recovery costs. These data clearly show we're not dealing with theoretical risks, but real, widespread problems. Up to now, we've seen a narrative scenario, but these examples aren't pure fiction. Here are 3 real cases that show how AI and MCP risks can have devastating consequences. The first case is Builder AI. From a unicorn valued at $1.5 billion to bankruptcy proceedings in just 6 months. The AI hype overshadowed organizational and due diligence risks, with actual revenues far below what was declared. The second case involves Replit AI. An AI agent deleted the production database during a code freeze and created thousands of fake profiles in an attempt to mask the incident, causing loss of trust and reputational damage. Finally, CVE 2025-6514, a critical vulnerability in MCP Remote with over 550,000 downloads of the compromised package and the possibility of command injection through the authorization endpoint. These examples demonstrate that we're not discussing hypothetical scenarios, but rather concrete threats affecting real companies, often due to insecure configurations, untrusted servers, and a lack of supervision. After looking at real cases, it's essential to understand how to evaluate risks in a structured way. This matrix shows the intersection between probability and the impact of events. In the top right corner, you see the most critical risks, those with a high likelihood and high impact. This includes things like e-commerce price manipulation, theft of sensitive data, and the installation of malware or backdoors. On the left, you find situations with high impact but lower frequency, such as partial data loss or temporary service interruption. At the bottom are risks with low probability and minor impact, limited AI automation errors or inconsistencies on non-critical data. Data here reminds us that 43% of cyber attacks target small businesses. Over 100,000 WordPress sites have been affected by MCP vulnerabilities, and only 14% of SMEs are truly prepared. Most MCP vulnerabilities in WordPress tend to cluster in the high probability, high impact area, which is why preventive action has to be a priority. After analyzing risks and impacts, it's essential to understand the regulatory framework governing the use of AI and MCP integrations. On one side, we have GDPR, which many already know, privacy by design, a clear legal basis, data minimization, and traceable logs. For SMEs, this means embedding data protection directly into MCP workflows and ensuring rights such as access, portability, and erasure. On the other side, there's the EU AI Act 2025, which introduces new obligations, risk classes, from limited risk, such as simple content generation, to high risk, like access to critical infrastructure. It requires transparency to users, human oversight for high-risk systems, and detailed documentation of processes and mitigation measures. For SMEs, this means updating policies and information sheets, adding disclaimers, defining supervision procedures, and planning a compliance roadmap. Some measures are mandatory, others are strongly recommended to reduce exposure. So far, we've looked at risks, regulations, and real-world cases. Now it's time to focus on how to prevent real problems. This mitigation framework is built on 4 fundamental pillars, which only work if applied together in a coordinated way. Isolation through containers, separate environments, plugins, and MCP servers with dedicated sandboxes and controlled network egress to reduce domino effects. 2. Strong authentication. Adopt OAuth 2.1 with short-lived. Rotating tokens, use minimal scope for each connection and, where possible, mutual TLS. 3. Least privilege and monitoring. Grant access only to strictly necessary resources. Maintain verifiable audit trails and activate alerts for anomalies or abuse. 4. Privacy and training. Encrypt data in transit and at rest. Manage secrets centrally. Pseudonymize where possible and train the team regularly on incident response and secure MCP setup. These pillars, integrated into a security by design approach, significantly reduce the attack surface and keep control even as threats evolve. To wrap up the technical part, let's see how to turn what we've learned into action. This roadmap is designed for SMEs using WordPress and MCP integrations. 1. Initial assessment. A specialized audit of the WordPress infrastructure and MCP servers to identify vulnerabilities and governance gaps. 2. Implement best practices, containerization, strong authentication, the principle of least privilege, and verifiable logging for every MCP server. 3. Update privacy policies and logs. Align documents and notices with GDPR and AI Act requirements, with clear and transparent logs. 4. Train staff and prepare emergency procedures. Educate your team on MCP risks and create runbooks and kill switches for rapid incident response. 5. Continuous monitoring and annual review, alerts, periodic testing, and security reviews to keep controls effective over time. The key point is this: a preventive assessment costs far less than a breach. Investing in security for WordPress and MCP gives you a positive ROI and solid protection. Now we come to a crucial point: the return on investment in security. A preventive audit on WordPress and MCP usually costs only a fraction of what you'd spend fixing a data breach. By contrast, an incident involving AI MCP vulnerabilities can bring significant total costs, including loss of customers, reputational damage, regulatory fines, and business interruption. And we're not talking only about direct costs. There are also hidden costs, such as rebuilding trust, recovering lost data, and months of downtime. Proactive security programs for WordPress and MCP can instead deliver measurable ROI, protecting digital assets, strengthening customer trust, and giving you a competitive edge. In other words, investing in security specific to WordPress and MCP means avoiding hidden costs and building a solid foundation for growth. We've reached the end of this journey. We've seen how integrating artificial intelligence into WordPress can bring significant advantages, but also pose substantial risks if not managed carefully. MCP security on WordPress is not a cost, it's a strategic investment for the future of your digital SME. I work exclusively on web project development and security on the WordPress CMS platform, providing audits, configurations, and targeted consulting. If you want to protect your WordPress infrastructure or implement MCP best practices, you can contact me directly for a security assessment. Thank you for following me this far. I hope this information helps you make your business safer and more reliable.